The Scada is something that was an item that in reality those wells could operate without that. And I say that because those costs are included in the USDA funding, they're included in the State Water Board funding and others. And they're intended so that we can monitor and control the required conditions of that on the fly. It really frees us up to be doing other things and be able to know how the wells are doing at all times. But it is an expense that if for some reason we didn't have the grant money to do it, we wouldn't do it. So we waited to get the USDA commitment to know whether we were going to put it in, because that was the last item. And so unfortunately that's going to take a little while now that we've placed the order to get those in. But we can, everything else will get done before the actual equipment gets here. So it really is just a day away. And then I've also proposed a schedule for the adoption of the budget, looking at May for a committee meeting and a preliminary to the board, and then possibly back to the committee in early June, and with a public hearing and board adoption on June 20th. So that is a summary of many pages. I also, just as a handout item, we have an updated leak report graph, and we're still seeing high leakage rates. This is not something we're unfamiliar with. But in talking with Elizabeth Binkley, who's our district engineer, she has uncovered some documents from when the system was first constructed, and there were a number of contractors out here at that time, a number of different contractors. Apparently some did good work, some did bad work, and there were documentation of that. And so we're trying to cross-reference and see with the location of the service line problems if that happens to be with a single contractor at that time, because our alternatives are to do a detailed leak audit in an area where you've got to send a contractor to listen throughout the area, which is going to burn up some money. Or if we know we've got an area that's worse than others because of the contractor, then that's the areas we focus with this replacement project that we got the grant for. So, for my vote of course for Rick.
Pete, does that mean that we're back on our original, this is the final move on this last grant, so we're on schedule, on track to what we initiated? We thought we were going to have all
the funding plan?
Yeah.
The only reason that I even hesitate is because the USDA process involves, when they say that you are eligible to receive the grant funding, which is the notification that we got, they issue a notice, they issue a letter of conditions. And it basically, the letter says, if you meet these conditions, then we will continue to work with you to provide funding for the project. We have to respond back with a notice of intent to meet the conditions. And that was a document that I signed, basically just saying, submit it to your federal office, get the commitment, because in that initial step, the money is identified as available. They've got it within their budget, their allocation, and it meets our project meets the criteria. We've got to commit to meeting their requirements, which means that the environmental review had to be done according to their standards, which it was. The engineering had to be done to their standards, which it was. A whole list of things that we have to meet and check off. So long as those are met, then we can request the reimbursement. It's stupidly complicated, unfortunately.
But we're on track.
We're on track. Yeah, we're on track. We're on track for 1.6 million in grant money between the two Department of Water Resources, State Water Resources Control Board, and Department of Water Resources.
Our cash on hand is going to hold out until we get to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But I got one more question. In Randy's report, I know he's not here, so
Yeah.
I'll ask you. It mentions that they started hydrant flushing. I know the question came up. Is that in fact started?
Yeah, it's, as time allows, that
But
there
they
are.
started the process.
Yeah, the hydrants will be flushed. We've got, you know, we're watching the water supply because we're still on the wells until we've got to do, we had to do quite a bit of work to get the float pumps back into condition where they're not way out in the water and all that, and that they're in a condition to continue. And then also, we want to make sure that everything's tight there before we go into firing off the other pumps that haven't been fired off since October 2013, and make sure that everything's good in that operation. So we're being a little bit careful in doing too much flushing right now, because it does cause main breaks.
Well, we started.
Yeah.
The procedure has begun.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Jim? Dan?
I don't have any.
You know, Pete, I noticed in the, I'll call it the, the dashboard, there's 3 items here for the board about orientation plan,
Oh, yeah.
norms and board meeting protocols, and committee plan. And I know that those have been on the radar screen for a while and time is not permitted. With board consensus, and if you're in agreement, maybe we could hold a special meeting to do those things so that we can complete those, because I think it would be advantageous to all of us that we're on a level playing field. So if there's a board consensus and we can find a date that meets everybody's schedule, and we can move forward with that. Get those 3 out of, because that's education for us as well. So
It is, yeah.
You're in agreement? Everybody's in
I
agreement?
got a single condition. Special meetings, please do them after 3:30.
Yes. Yeah, it's, we can do it in an afternoon, evening, weekend, whatever, you know, whatever works.
My
If
boss,
we-
my players are good guys, but I don't want to abuse them.
But I don't see a reason why we couldn't do them at 3:30 or after that.
Okay, so we have a consensus that a special meeting will be addressed, and if there's any other items, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna preference this. Don't plan on an hour and a half or 2-hour meeting, because my goal is to knock these things out. So if we're there till 8, 9, 10, no whining. We're not gonna be drinking any wine, there's gonna be no whining. So I wanna make sure that we can accomplish this work. So, you know, be flexible. We'll accommodate you at 3:30 or in the afternoon or later, but let's go for getting this work done and completed. So with that, Cindy, if you'll put that out, try to find some dates for everybody to work on. So, okay.
Danny, just for the public information perspective, because Lou, you brought it up. Some of the things that we'll be talking about in this meeting are the timing of preparation of packets, you know, and going through. It seems like an easy directive, just get it done earlier. But in this meeting, we'll have a discussion about really what that means. You know, how far out is too far? What is the right amount of information in the packet? What's too much? What's too late? And so it's a really good time also for public input, public to be there and listen and participate in the meeting.
Yeah, the one thing I have on my notes is, you know, schedule ample time for discussion. So that was one of the other things, make sure that we have that.